For a while, I'd been scared. I was doubtful. I was wondering if I had what it takes to achieve the things that I want. And so I stopped taking action. If this sounds like you, then keep on watching because this video is for you. Today's choice, one of my fave teas, raspberry leaf. If you haven't tried it, highly recommend. In this video, I wanted to talk about overcoming fear and self-doubt, and specifically I'm talking about fear of taking action and doubt in your abilities to be able to do the things you want to do, to be able to achieve the things that you want to achieve. Basically, those fears and doubts that keep you in procrastination, that keep you stuck and afraid to actually go after the things that you want. A really good first step is to identify and acknowledge your fears and doubts. Sometimes they're obvious and they're staring us in the face, but sometimes they can be buried under the surface a little bit and show up as other things. Like I say, if you find yourself procrastinating a lot, holding off on things, not really being sure, or not knowing what steps to take, sometimes there can be something hidden beneath the surface there. And really getting to then understand what triggers these fears and self-doubts can be the first step to overcoming them. I'm really big on journaling and I talk about it a lot, but shadow work specifically can be really good for helping you overcome this, because it can really help uncover the real fear behind what's holding you back. Shadow work is ultimately uncovering the dark parts of yourself to allow yourself to accept them. It comes from psychologist Carl Jung, who described it as the dark and emotional side of your personality or psyche. It's all about working with your unconscious mind to uncover the parts of yourself that you repress and hide from yourself. And obviously that means that these parts aren't automatically always obvious. I would say if you have severe trauma, then it's something I'd recommend going to a therapist to help you work through. Otherwise, you can work through it yourself. But to do this on your own, you can start by noticing patterns in your life, things that seem to happen time and time again, whether it be with relationships or your own patterns, habits, behaviors. You can start to become aware of triggers and really start to reflect on these. Where are these triggers coming from? This is where the journaling can be really helpful to reflect, thinking back to earlier childhood memories when you've had those sort of things come up before in your past that may be linked to certain emotions that have kind of stayed with you. And also even noticing when you're judging other people or projecting, that can be a big sign of a shadow that you potentially need to uncover. I can go more into this in another video, but that's it in a nutshell. And like I say, this is one of those practices that can be so helpful, because it can really help you find the root cause and understand and define where those feelings of self-doubt are actually coming from. It can help you to develop more self-awareness, and then in turn help you with having more self-compassion and understanding of yourself and why you maybe do certain things or don't do certain things that you actually want to do, which gets you one step closer to being able to overcome that fear. And most of all, it can give you clarity. So even on the simplest level, if you can just give yourself the time to journal and reflect, that in itself can be so helpful. I decided to film this whilst the sun is setting, so now we're relying on artificial light. It's fine. Number 2 is to pay attention to negative thoughts and challenge them. If you are someone who has a lot of fear and self-doubt, it's highly likely that you're also someone who may be doing a lot of negative self-talk. I say this because it's coming from someone else who has had to overcome a lot of this, and it's something that every now and again it can creep back in, and I have to be like, whoa, who is that person? Be quiet. Sometimes it's not always as simple as that, but being aware of it is the first step. And I think when you really do tune that attention to being aware, like, how am I actually speaking to myself? It can make you really realize how either positively, negatively, or maybe even neutrally you're talking to yourself. But if you are giving yourself a lot of negative self-talk, that's just reinforcing those negative beliefs that you can't do something, that you're not good enough, all of those things. So pay attention to those thoughts. And a way to challenge them, just a really simple way, is when these thoughts come up, don't berate yourself for it. These things happen, just let it pass, but also ask yourself, is it true? And more importantly, than that, ask yourself, is it true right now? Because sometimes we can kind of be a bit defiant. I know, I've been there. Dig our heels in and be like, no, it is true because I'm not good enough because X, Y, Z. We can almost argue for our limitations in that sense sometimes. So we need to be like, is this true right now? Because, if you lost a race in school years ago, does that mean you're a loser right now? No. Of course it doesn't. Just because something was true once doesn't mean it's true forever. So just be aware and just challenge those negative thoughts as they come up. And over time, it's training your brain to think differently and think more positively about yourself, which leads me on to number 3, which is positive affirmations. I have been a big lover of positive affirmations for a while now. They have been such a monumental part of my own healing journey over the years, both physically and mentally, and I feel that there's so much power in positive affirmations, and it kind of comes in like hand in hand with the challenging the negative thoughts, because it's fine that negative thoughts come along, it's going to happen, we're human, but interjecting with something positive can also be really helpful to reinforce those positive beliefs about ourselves and our abilities and the things that we want to do. I've actually just uploaded some of my own positive affirmations, which have really helped me. I recorded them initially for myself because I didn't want to just write them, I wanted to listen to them, and now I thought I'd share them with you. So I'll leave the link to those below if you want to check those out. The idea is you are saying something and affirming it with I am. One little thing I will say about these, if you feel that you're in a super negative headspace and you're someone who is quite defiant in your negative beliefs right now, because I understand it can take a while to get into the positive thinking, it doesn't always happen straight away, I would say go easy on your positive affirmations to start with. So say, for example, I'll just give like a super typical one. If you feel like you're not financially abundant, like you're not wealthy, rich, whatever, maybe don't go in with the affirmation of I am rich, because straight away all your brain is going to do is go, that's not true. That's a lie. I have £1 in my bank account, or whatever it is. So maybe go in with something that's like a stepping stone for you, whatever that may be, but just sticking with this example. So rather than saying I am rich, if you're not feeling rich, you can affirm something that is true, that is more positive than saying I am poor, which could be I have everything I need around me in my home right now. These are just random examples. You have to find ones that work with you, that feel right for you, and obviously fit into your situation. But this can be a great stepping stone before you dive right in there with the ones that are like, I can do anything I want in the world. If you're not believing it, or you find your brain arguing with that, then like I say, start small, build yourself up. You can write these down, you can record your own, you can listen to mine. Any way that you can. I love listening to these first thing in the morning, letting it be that the first thing that you listen to when you wake up is something positive. That over time, over days, weeks, months, can have such a positive effect on your thinking. My next point is to do something small that scares you every week. I did want to say every day, but I understand that can be a bit of a challenge if you've got life, work commitments, all these things. But when I say small, I mean small. It could be as small as sending an email that scares you a little bit, but is getting you one step closer to the thing that you want. And on the other side of that, I also would say that these things don't have to be related to your goals at all, because any step towards doing things that scare you, that are positive, is building up your threshold and tolerance for doing, scary things that feel scary to you. It kind of makes you realize I can do those things, and what's the worst that can happen? It can help build up your tolerance for no's and setbacks, because ultimately with whatever happens in life, those things are going to happen. It's very rare that everything goes to plan and is smooth sailing, and we need to not be afraid of the knockbacks. We need to build up that resiliency and be able to keep going even in the face of no's and things not going to plan. So it's easier to do those things when you're starting small than it is to, get a huge knockback and it completely knocking your confidence. You're then feeling so afraid, full of self-doubt. But if you do things slowly, start small, whatever it is, it builds up that tolerance. It makes you realize you can do a lot of things, and actually you're a lot braver than you think. Getting out of your comfort zone can be so helpful. I stayed in my own comfort zone for so long and spent a lot of time thinking what I could do rather than actually taking the action on certain things. So just building up that tolerance and going to things and doing things that scare you on a regular basis. By the time you get to like a year later, you're going to be like, wow, I can do a lot. I can totally go after my goals because I am brave and I can do this. And with that, celebrate your wins. I will say this over and over again, acknowledge and celebrate your success, no matter how small. If you sent a scary email, celebrate that. If you went to the gym for the first time in forever, celebrate that. Whatever it is for you, keep celebrating those things, because that is going to reinforce that positive mindset, that feeling that can overcome the fear and feel okay with it. And a reminder that you can do the things and to push aside those feelings of self-doubt. My next point is to surround yourself with uplifting energy, from podcasts to people. And I say that because I listen to a lot of podcasts and people are everywhere. Obviously, there are times when we can't help it, like with family members, maybe, or work colleagues. But what I would suggest in those scenarios is maybe hold back talking about goals, or specifically the things that you're feeling self-doubt about or fearful around those people that instill you with any self-doubt, especially early on when you're just trying to build those foundations, when you're just trying to work through some things. Maybe just don't have those conversations with those people that put negativity in your mind. And for the people that you can control being around you, make sure that they are as uplifting as possible. And I use the example of podcasts because sometimes if you don't have that network of people around you, podcasts for me personally have been one of the most amazing things to help me feel uplifted and energized, especially in the morning. I'm a big morning person. You don't have to be, it could even be at night before bed. Listening to those things that reinforce those positive beliefs that give you that mindset of, I can do these things. I need to not be afraid because everything's going to be okay. And so looking out for those things where you can. Obviously, there's loads on YouTube as well. Just make sure that the people in your life and the things that you are viewing online or listening to are uplifting you and putting you into a positive mindset. Ultimately, it's you who needs to believe in yourself and overcome your fears, but it's going to be a whole lot harder if you're filling your mind with negativity. So just be super aware of the people around you and the things that you are taking in and listening to. Arm yourself with the right tools and gain knowledge. Sometimes fear and doubt can arise from a lack of knowledge, so educate yourself about the things you're scared of that you want to overcome. The more you know, the more tools you have in your toolbox, the more confident you'll feel when going forward. And ultimately, I always like to say this, success leaves clues. Going back to my podcast thing, because I do love a podcast, the amount of podcasts that I've listened to where I've listened to other people's stories, and especially if they kind of talk about the beginning and how they got to where they are and things like that in their respective careers, life journeys, and so on, it can be really helpful because it makes you realize everyone is human and we all face hardships and struggles along the way, albeit each unique. Everyone's is different. My journey will be different to yours and vice versa. But I think understanding that people have gone on a journey to get to where they are can be really helpful, one. And two, if there are people out there who have gone on a similar journey that you would like to follow, then you can look to them for guidance, for mentors. You can find actual mentors, or it might be that it's people online who, like I say, have shared their stories. One thing I will say is just be very careful to not get into a comparison situation when doing this. You have to realize that someone else's day 500 is very different from your day 1, so please don't be comparing that. But if you can kind of look to these different stories, people, ideas as inspiration and to show you that you're not alone on your journey, I think it can be really helpful and uplifting and help you combat that fear, because you can realize, you know, other people have done this or something similar, so I can do it as well. So good. And last but certainly not least, make sure you relax. I feel like this is such an easy one to overlook, but sometimes fear and self-doubt can simply come from overthinking. I certainly know I've been there on more than a few occasions. I'm big on meditation since I got back into doing it daily. It has worked wonders for my mindset, for my stress levels. I just feel like I can tackle life better. And even if you're not someone who is into meditation, or it's something that you're not really looking to explore right now, I would simply say, at the very least, please remember to just breathe. I can never remember who said the quote, but it's one of my favorite quotes. Fear is just excitement without the breath. So please just breathe. It honestly helps. Breathing, meditation, and mindfulness can help calm the mind and reduce any anxieties and worries, which will ultimately help when it comes to overcoming your fears and self-doubt. So identify and acknowledge fears and doubts. Pay attention to negative thoughts and challenge them. Affirm the positives with affirmations. Do something small each week that uplifts you. Surround yourself with uplifting energy. Arm yourself with the right tools and gain knowledge. And don't forget to breathe and relax. In fact, let's just do this right now. Okay, get comfortable. So when you're ready, we're going to do a deep breath in and out. I don't know about you, but that's made me feel better already. Also, I just looked outside and the sunset is so beautiful. I wish I could capture it and show you. It's blue with a little bit of pink. Beautiful. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, please don't forget to like, comment if you've got anything to share, subscribe if you haven't already, and we can hopefully do this again sometime. Remember, your opinion is subject to change, as is mine, and that's okay. It is called growth. You have got this. I will hopefully see you in the next video.